Good morning, RPG Day 2023. This is August 17th, day 17. The question is funniest game you've played. This is easy. I prefer sober, serious sessions, but I play with friends, and so you are going to laugh and you are going to enjoy it, hopefully, and you're going to have joy. So we're not serious, serious, but we like sober. We play with the intent of being serious. You can't help but enjoy your company. You can't help but find some funny moments and ridiculousness in these things. But the funniest game, no doubt, I had only been on YouTube a short time. It should have been like 2010, 2011, maybe 2012. I can't remember. It was my first YouTube channel, Dark Age of. And I was playing with Aaron, Jim, and Rich. There may be many of you in the community who know these three gentlemen. I think you probably do. And we played Skype. I would GM some games, Rich would GM some games, and Aaron even GM'd a couple of games. But we were using Skype, so it was in the dark. There was no video, it was just voice. And that's how we ran our games early together as a group. Certainly when we were playing together during, I think it was I want to say 2012, but it might have been earlier than that, even 2010. I can't remember. Okay. The gist of it is Rich ran amazing games. So it was Jim, Aaron, and I were players, and we were using a OSR. I can't remember which game. It might have been Sword and Wizardry OSR. I don't remember which. But Jim, we made characters, and Jim set us up in a Flash Gordon game, Flash Gordon universe. And that was one of the funniest games for 3 hours. I have not ever laughed 3 straight hours and had so much fun. It became comical as we began to, in a way, narrate ourselves as actors in a bad B movie sci-fi. So when I would narrate, you might see the stunt man, you might see the camera, or we began to actually add, in a way, movie elements to our narration of what was happening, and it actually was remarkable. The irony is it was one of the most remarkable experiences because we began to, in a way, add pieces and narrative pieces to what we normally would have just done as a D&D. I mean, a Flash Gordon game using a D&D set. And it became one of the most memorable and funniest game sessions of my entire life. And again, I'd only been a player a short time. It's amazing. I mean, I'd only played a few times in my life prior to that. So Rich was a great GM. And the second one, funniest I ever had, I'm going to go ahead and do the second funniest because it's the same group of guys. Rich was running a DC superheroes game, and it was the first time I had a chance to be a superhero since Marvel as a kid, when we played Marvel by TSR and DC. And we all made our own heroes. And it was Aaron, Jim, myself, and Rich was our GM. And Rich, again, was also great with voices. But my God, 3 superheroes. And the great thing about superheroes for me is there is a natural comicness to it, because I'm not a huge superheroes to me, either it's got to be kind of dark and gloomy like Batman, and there's some serious psychological issues going on, and there's some darkness and some gravitas, or for me, you have to do superheroes a bit tongue-in-cheek. I mean, you're guys who can tear doors off of cars, and you can punch holes through walls, and my God, that was probably second to Flash Gordon, one of the funniest. We played that set of characters a couple of sessions, and it was one of the most amazing and some of the funniest stuff. Really, was not all we did. We were also, again, sober and serious gamers who liked a serious game, but you could not role play without enjoying the ridiculousness of what people have to do to survive. Using bodies as meat shields to survive a hail of arrows, as Aaron loved to tell that story about one of the sessions they played. And you can't not laugh at that, right? I mean, it's difficult, right? So we don't play to make jokes, and we don't play to make a joke of the game itself. But there can be a play in which we recognize the humor. We can recognize how it's, in a way, ridiculous. But those are the 2 sessions that were legitimately funny, and funny guys, funny characters, funny sessions. But there you have it. That would be my 2. And I can't even remember which game we were using, but it was the Flash Gordon game was remarkable, as we began to add little hints that we were in a movie, that our characters were actors, in a bad Flash Gordon serial. And we even began to talk about the background of who these guys were. Right? Who was this knucklehead? What did he look like, and where did he come from? What was his history? Fantastic, rich imaginations, right? Guys that have I've talked about this before. My brother and I talk about this all the time. There's literate and there's pop culture literate, and individuals who are literate with pop culture, they can draw on a richness for role playing, right? You can be literate, in literal the IP in which you're, where you really understand the IP you're using. You can be literate and well read. You can be literate, but pop culture for a lot of the games and things we do can really help people draw on an imaginative of who they are and what they're doing and what's going on around them. They can draw on these things, movie references, etc. They can see it in their head, or they can imagine it's like that thing. And being pop culture literate makes for very difficult sometimes not to crack jokes in games. I mean, the more we see, the more we know, the more we fondly remember. It's difficult not to want to drop that one-liner from Die Hard, right, or something, right? And sometimes that's good, right? And sometimes, right, depending on what you're doing and the crew you're with and how you're running, you don't want to go there. And very often, depending on the crew and what we're doing, I don't want to go there. So, but anyway, great question. One of my favorite questions, because funny, like fun, is kind of have as a negative connotation in our role playing. And I mean, it because I personally don't try to make jokes of the games or jokes of what we're doing. So there can be a negative connotation. Fun. Everybody's fun is different, but it's really nice to see him put in there what was the funniest game. And there is no game that I've actually played that tried to be funny. I've never played a role-playing game or a tabletop social game that was meant to be funny, that was trying to be funny, that was designed for you to be funny or for it to get laughs. This was something else entirely. It was a legitimate role-playing sessions in which we weren't afraid to be out there and zany in a way with our descriptions or with our characters, who our characters were, what they were doing, what they were capable of. It was fun. It was great fun. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.